Good evening, parents, grade 8s of 2022. Welcome to Rondebosch Boys High School. We're coming to you live from the Arts Centre, the Art Lecture Theatre. My name is Sean Simpson. I'm the 10th headmaster of Rondebosch and have been lucky enough to be head of the school for the last 10 years. This evening gives us an opportunity to welcome you to the start of your 5-year Rondebosch journey. We know that you have many fears, concerns, and questions about how it all works. The point of tonight's presentation is to try to answer some of the burning questions you might have. When we planned this evening, we were not allowed to have visitors on campus, and although regulations have now changed, we thought it best to finish off the year with you safe at home, knowing that we'll have the opportunity early next year to welcome you in person, to meet one another, and to further engage. We've got a great lineup here of young men of the School Executive Council who know the school and its secrets well, and are far better equipped than I am to speak of life at school and to answer any questions you might have. I now hand you over to the good care of Lehlemelo Mkwana, our head boy for 2022.
Good evening to all the parents that are attending the live today. This year, a new system was introduced to the Senior Representative Council of Learners of the school. The prefect body changed to the Executive Council. With this, we saw an introduction of lots of new portfolios and focuses instead of just the known sport, academics, and culture. Just to briefly describe each of the new portfolios that were introduced, the environmental portfolio focuses on the school's ecosystem and its members' impact on the environment. The social cohesion portfolio focuses on social justice issues as well as inclusivity in our school for pupils of all backgrounds, cultures, ethnicities, races, and sexual orientations. The pastoral portfolio, which used to be named the student wellness portfolio, isn't new, but it was modified to be more student and staff orientated, focusing on the improvement of the well-being of the entire school. The outreach portfolio dedicated itself to Rondebosch and how it can give back to communities that are less fortunate than ours. I'll now be handing over to Mr. Claassen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ridder Claassen. I've been the head of grade 8 for the past few years, and I will be moderating the evening for the remainder of the evening, and also be answering some of your questions live. So if you've got any questions, can you please post them in the comments section so we can answer those, because this is what this evening is about giving you the best information that we could possibly give you in the run-up to the end of the year for you and into next year when we finally get to meet you. I do apologize that occasionally I will be staring off screen because my computer is next to me so that I can read your questions. But for now, some of the questions that have come through already in terms of textbooks, your boy will be given textbooks at the beginning of next year. We have an orientation week where we will bring boys in small groups where they will be receiving their textbooks as well as the IT login. We've also received a question regarding the school's device policy. We are busy relooking what our policy is on school mandated devices, but that is still in discussion. For now, what we recommend that your son has is a smart device, a device that can connect to the internet, whether it's a phone or a tablet, preferably something that isn't too expensive at this stage, because we run off our school admin system, which is called Engage. You can download the app already, and you'll be getting your login details soon as parents. Your son's timetable will be loaded up on there once we have subject choices. On that point, we have emailed out 2 weeks ago a Google form asking for arts and culture choices as well as second language choices. Please, can you get those answers into us, because we have to allocate classes according to that. And then one more question that we've been getting is the stationery list is in the book, the information book that was also emailed to you with that survey or that Google form. As I said, we do give boys textbooks, but certain writing books and stationery we will ask you to buy privately. That is in that information booklet that you would have received. If you haven't received it, please contact the school so that we can get that information out to you. I'm going to hand over now to Mark Kabongo from the academic portfolio, who is going to tell us about some tips for coping with the academic step up into grade 8. Welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and boys of grade 8 Rondebosch Boys High School for 2022. Some tips I can give you. Personally, the most important one, I think, would be to ensure that you have a very healthy mindset. Unfortunately, a lot of people can go into tests, can go in and out of exams thinking that, oh, I'm going to fail, overthinking a lot of different things. And it's always important to ensure that you do the right things to give yourself an environment that is conducive to getting the best marks. So that would be the first thing. The next thing would be to plan well ahead of time to ensure that you're not scrambling right at the last minute and that you're not prepared and go into the things when things aren't in order. And another thing would be, don't be afraid to ask for help. Rondebosch Boys is a very wonderful school with a lot of teachers, a lot of boys, a lot of peers who would love to help and encourage you to do better. And you should never be afraid to ask for help. So that, thank you.
All right, I see there is some sound problems with people unable to hear, so we'll just shout at the microphone a bit. One question that came through now is, can boys do music and art as a subject choice combination? Not as a subject choice combination for creative arts, but they can, however, do art and music as an extracurricular. And on that, I'm going to hand over to SJ Swanepoel of the cultural portfolio to explain how the extracurricular music works. SJ.
Hi everyone. So you can take music as an extramural from grade 8. So you'll organize that with the music teachers at the school, and you generally take it during school unless arranged differently with your music teacher. You have a lesson once a week, and we have a week A, week B cycle as to minimize the amount of class time missed per subject. So for instance, in week A, you'll have it in one subject, and week B, you'll have it in a different subject, so that you don't miss that very valuable class time. That's pretty much it.
Okay. We've got another question on music as a subject, as your second languages. Can Xhosa be chosen as a second language even if a boy did not do it at primary school? Yes, they can do it, but it is not really advised as the step up is quite big. But they can do it. Mr. Nonkoto is a very skilled teacher. He can give them some catch-up work to do. So they can choose isiXhosa as a second language, even if they didn't have it at primary school, bearing in mind that it will be a bit of a learning curve, at least in the first 2 years. If boys choose to do Afrikaans, they will do conversational Xhosa as a subject in the grade 8 and 9 year. It is non-examinable, but it is to introduce boys to all three languages as they are. On the question on the different instruments and how that works, Mr. Scar from the music department will be contacting people individually that select music as a subject, and he can lay out all those details to you regarding the subject music issues. Just moving on slightly, also in that orientation week, boys will be allowed to do their sports choices. That was one of the questions. When can boys choose their sports? On that, I'm going to hand over to Jamie Ricketts to just explain what the choices are for grade 8s in their first year.
Good evening, everyone. So for sports, students are required to choose at least 2 sports, one of those being summer and one of those being a winter sport. And then out of those 2 sports, one of them also have to be a team sport. Orientation week is when you are able to choose your respective sports, and a list will be sent out in the first week of school to tick off your sports that you will want to do. And it is also important to maintain a balance between school and sports and academic life, and plan your weekends with academics involved and everything, and take into account that you'll be tired after a long day of sports in the week and on weekends. But yeah, academics is always the first priority.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. A question that just came through now is, when will the orientation week be? We call it orientation week because for the school it will be a whole week, but the grade 8s will come in for a single day, and that will be determined by which classes they are in. And the boarders will come in on the Monday, so for the school on the Tuesday before school starts. They'll come in on the Monday evening for the boarding house. But we will send those details through to you before the end of term, when your specific class, your son's class, will come for their orientation day. But it won't be a whole week for every single boy. And another question now, any outreach programs for grade 8 planned? I'm going to ask Jordan Walensky to just speak about our first outreach. There is many outreach programs or outreach events throughout the year, not specific, grade specific, but Jordan Walensky will introduce at least the first one for 2022. Jordan.
Thank you, sir. This year, Outreach and Intact Society was headed by Zoe Ralde and Sibre, who did an amazing job in our first annual Easter egg drive. It's a drive where we urge boys to donate Easter eggs so we could donate it to underprivileged communities and organizations that are in need of it. In this year, we accumulated a huge amount of Easter eggs, and thus we could donate to the Red Cross Children's Hospital as well as the Haven Night Shelter. This year, we hope to continue this drive as well as our annual e-drive where we collect food and ingredients to donate to our underprivileged Muslim areas. We also do smaller drives throughout the year, which the boys will hear about more next year. Thank you.
Right, then closely tied to that, we have the environmental portfolio. As Leclamelo has mentioned, it is to do with both our boys' carbon footprint, but it also has a secondary part involving hikes and the boys' just general appreciation for the environment. More about that, I'm going to hand over to Warwick Jones to explain the environmental portfolio slightly more.
Good evening, boys and parents. So, as Mr. Clausen said, next year we will be involving the boys with many hikes, just so the boys can get out of the school environment and into the nature to appreciate it. We have started a veggie garden, taking over from Albertus van der Merwe and Robbie Davis, and we'll be extending that into next year just to get Rondebosch's first veggie garden up and going. And that's pretty much it. Plus other activities besides hikes, information evenings such as just in providing information about how we can protect our environment within the school and outside of school. Just like one of the activities last weekend that didn't occur because of weather, tidal information on a Saturday, boys were invited to Delbrook tidal pool just to learn about the workings of a tidal pool and sea life, and just educating the boys other than school information and academics, and just about climate, environment, and everything else. Thank you.
Beach cleanups.
And beach cleanups were target for next year. Lots of beach cleanups. As everyone knows, ocean pollution is a big factor, and just to educate the boys on those type of factors. Waffle.
All right. I just saw a question here. Are Muslim boys allowed to attend mosque on a Friday? We end our school day earlier on Fridays, specifically so that Muslim boys can attend mosque. So our times normally for the whole week, Monday through to Thursday, is we finish at 3 p.m. On a Friday, we end early so that Muslim boys can attend mosque. If they have a mosque that is slightly too far to reach in time, given out end of it, we do have a prayer room on the campus that is attached to our hostel at the moment. Another question here also about the isiXhosa program. If a boy did isiZulu at junior school, is there a bridging program? No, there isn't a specific bridging program. But as I said to the person who asked whether their son has to do isiXhosa at junior school, Mr. Nonkoto is a very skilled teacher. He will be able to assist any boy with the catch-up. He is also a fluent isiZulu speaker, so he can help a boy who wants to switch to isiXhosa as a high school subject. Do boys have to wear masks the entire day? Yes, despite what we're doing here at the moment, boys do wear masks in class and in crowded spaces such as the corridors outside. They're allowed to take it off during break times for eating, because we know about the science of how corona spreads. So it is the threat is slightly diminished being outside, but we deal with that on a case-to-case basis. Boys do wear masks the entire school day. And the one thing that I want to still touch on, the one portfolio that we haven't got to, is the social cohesion portfolio. I'm going to hand over to our deputy head boy, Ziad Shabadin, to just talk a little bit more about the 4 areas that is covered under the social cohesion portfolio.
Hi everyone. So the 4 areas covered in the social cohesion portfolio, the first one in no particular order is mental health. This is where we focus on improving the boys' mental health and understanding of their own emotions, feelings, and how to express that properly, and creating an environment where everybody is comfortable within themselves. Gender and equality, we focus on very heavy topics such as GBV, and also teaching the boys on gender dynamics and what it means to be a man. In similar vein, we also touch on masculinity and sexuality. We teach the boys about different sexualities and what it means to be a man. We really define what it is to be a man within the context of South Africa, as well as in Rondebosch Boys High School. And finally, we also touch on, just need to check to get the name properly, Black and White Consciousness, which focuses on race dynamics and how to better see and define the people around you and have these conversations about race in a school such as Rondebosch Boys High School. As you can see in social cohesion, with all 4 portfolios, our main stance is education. However, we do have open discussions and other programs and policies that we try our best to introduce and talk about. But overall, that's just what social cohesion tends to focus on.
All right. We're going to take a few more questions, and then we're going to hand over to Mr. Brenner to discuss the always exciting topic of school fees. The main reason why we are speeding this up is there is a possibility that load shedding will strike at 6 o'clock for us, and we do not know whether we'll be plunged into the dark at that stage. If not, we will be able to take a couple more questions, but we will have to play that one, as most things are by the moment. Just a few more questions that I want to deal with here. Do boys attend school daily? Depending on what the national regulations are for education at that stage, how many boys we are allowed in class, depending on our alert level nationally, we will have to go on that. What we did at the highest alert level last year was we had boys attend 1 week on, 1 week off in group surnames A to L, 1 week on, and then 1 week off, and the other group the following week. That was at the highest alert level. From the beginning of this year, throughout, Rondebosch has been able to safely bring all our boys to school every single day for the entire academic year, dealing with the corona situation inside the school as needs be. The worst that we've had to do was send big groups home to go and isolate because of outbreaks inside social groups, where we felt that that was the only way in order to contain any further spread. In saying that, we have only had to do that twice this year in single grades. So it is an extreme measure that we use only when necessary. Boys attend school for the better part, as far as it's in our control, every single day. A question about why does school start late on a Wednesday? For those of you who did not see that, academic classes start at 9 a.m. on a Wednesday. That is twofold. Teachers do our staff meetings, our big planning meetings on Wednesday mornings, but it also is there to allow for extracurricular activities that cannot function successfully, such as our music program, that cannot function after school because of our sports commitment, allowing our boys to take part in both the sporting program and the cultural program. We have an hour at the beginning of the day that we use for those activities. Boys can come to school and prepare for the day early, or they can come in only at 9 a.m. That is up to them. But that is why school starts late on a Wednesday. There's a question about the choice portfolios. As far as our student representative council goes, boys can take part. Boys stand for specific portfolios in which they take charge of activities, but any boy in the school can take part in as many activities as he can fit into his day, bearing in mind what all the speakers have alluded to, that academics do come first here, and that will always be our main focus along with all of that. A policy regarding external sport, when we have boys that take part in external sport, that is up to them, as long as it doesn't impact negatively on their commitments to our school, and they are free to take part. We have some boys that are very successful in external sport. We have had SA sailors, some SA underwater hockey players, indoor hockey players all the time. So it is very much a part of our school culture. Just on the touchy subject about a vaccine mandate, we are a state school, so we are governed by what the state decides for schools. We cannot set specific policies either way if it goes against what the state mandates for us. So in terms of a vaccine mandate, that is up to the South African government at this stage. I think given the availability of the vaccines, we recommend that boys get vaccinated. As always, we think it is important, but that is at this stage parents' choice, not mandated by either the school or the state. And then one last question on the feedback and borders when they start, what they need to know. Borders will come in on the Monday before school starts. School starts on the Wednesday. They'll come in the Monday evening. They'll have their orientation there. Your border information pack will be sent to you shortly about what to bring. in terms of contact with your son and feedback, Mrs. Duncan, the hostel manager, is fantastic. Anyone that has been involved with the boarding house in the last 30 odd years will know very well about her. And on that note, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Brenner to give us his exciting talk all about paying fees and all that goes with that.
Thank you, Mr. Claassen. Good evening, everyone, and a hearty welcome to you all as the families and grade 8 class of 2022. My name is Jonathan Brenner, and I'm the school's business manager. On behalf of all the non-educator staff, I welcome you here tonight to this information evening and also to the high school facet of your Bosch journey. I have no doubt that the years spent at our school will be an invaluable investment for you and your son. I'm sure that you will fully embrace what Bosch has to offer and are going to enjoy your 5-year stint with us tremendously. It is a tough job, but unfortunately someone has to do it, and as such, it is my role this evening to inform you of the financial aspects of the high school. Fees. RBHS is a quintile 5 public school and therefore receives minimal assistance from the state in the amount of 266 Rand per student per annum. This equates to approximately 232,000 or 0.47% out of a total budget spent of 50 million, plus 24 teachers out of a total of 58. The school therefore relies very heavily on the parents to pay the agreed annual fees. Historically, prior to COVID, an average of 94% of fees due were collected. In fairness to all, despite the ongoing tight economic circumstances, this is a level we must all continue to strive for. Because the annual budget allows for no surplus, any drop-off of fee collections will have the effect of increasing fees more rapidly for other fee-paying parents. School fees cover those expenses that are catered for in the school budget, including certain extramural activities. They do not, however, cover the likes of sports or cultural tours, which should be self-funding, but do cover certain specified items such as textbooks. Fees are required to be set annually during a meeting of the parents, where the planned income and expenditure is presented and the resultant fees discussed and agreed to. The proposed fees for the 2022 academic year will be presented to the parent body on the 3rd of November, and the annual fee of 61,500 Rand per pupil per annum agreed. This represents a mere 2.5% increase over the fees of 2021. This is an historical low increase and the second year in succession that the fee increase has been below CPI. The parents resolve in the budget meeting that school fees for the year are payable on the first day of the academic year. The school will grant a 5% early settlement discount in respect of those fees that are settled before the end of February. Given the current interest rates, this represents a real saving. The other option is to pay fees over 10 months in equal installments between January and October, and to allow the school to create a debit order collection. This method has benefits for all parties and is the most popular option. One of these two methods need to be selected, and communication will be sent to you in due course. Where a parent has chosen to pay over 10 months and then misses the payment, there is an acceleration clause which has the effect of making the full unpaid balance immediately due and payable. Should debit orders be returned and additional charges incurred, or where the school incurs legal charges in the collection of fees, it reserves the right to pass these costs back to the defaulter. School fees are a statutory debt, and in terms of the SA Schools Act, both natural parents are jointly and severally liable for the payment thereof. This statute overrides divorce orders, so care and communication between parents is needed to ensure that the fees are duly covered. For safety reasons, the school strongly discourages cash payments on the premises. Should the need arise for a cash payment to be made at the school, an appointment will have to be made with the fees bursar and the necessary receipts obtained. We encourage parents to rather EFT funds to the school. Please always use your son's name and his account number as a reference so that we are able to correctly allocate the payments. Credit card payments may be made through the Bosch shop using MasterCard or Visa only. Fee statements are sent out monthly via email. We respectfully ask that physical, postal, and email addresses, as well as telephone numbers, are kept current at all times, and that the school is advised of any changes to contact details timelessly. This is vitally important for a number of reasons. Except for the grade 10 journey, extraneous charges for tours, tournaments, etc. do not appear on your fee statement. You will receive correspondence concerning these and are respectfully asked to pay them promptly when due. Please be extra careful with your payment references when making these payments to assist in the correct allocation. The school has partnered with Carry, an easy-to-use payments application. Carry is an innovative mobile payments application that allows you to make quick payments for various school collections using your smartphone. Carry is powered by NetBank, but will work with any bank, ensuring the safety and security of all information loaded onto the app. It is therefore fully POPI and PCI DSS compliant, with stringent internal measures in place to keep payments secure. There is no charge to parents for this application and is free to download from either the Apple Store or Google Play Store and uses minimal data. Our fees bursar, Mrs. Tana Presley, is always available to clarify any fee-related matters with you. Music. Music fees are determined depending on the instrument choice, insurance, number of instruments taken, tutors, etc. These fees will be included on the February school fee statement that is issued out monthly and may be paid over 9 months between February and October. The early settlement discount does not apply to music fees, but authority can be given to have the debit order adjusted to incorporate them. Section 21, Financial Assistance. The SA Schools Act makes provision for assistance to be granted in the settlement of school fees under defined circumstances of financial hardship and is based on the gross annual income of both natural parents. Following the parent budget meeting, correspondence will be sent out, which includes the yes/no questionnaire. This is a state form asking questions concerning Section 21 assistance. This form is required to be signed and returned to the school by all new parents annually. Assistance should only be applied for where parents' financial circumstances have changed adversely subsequent to acceptance for admission to the school. I must stress at this point that financial assistance is not intended for parents to put their child into school that they are unable to afford. It is for those parents who are able to afford the school fees, however, due to unforeseen circumstances during the student's tenure at the school, are temporarily unable to afford either the full fee or part thereof. Where required, assistance has to be requested in respect of each year, and the maximum fees you are able to pay must be committed to. Full disclosure as required on these forms need to be provided in order for assistance to be considered. All requests for financial assistance are assessed by an exemptions committee of the school governing body, which may include a personal interview. Financial assistance in respect of school fees cannot be granted to parents to enable a pupil to stay in the hostel or to facilitate the funding of either elective expenses such as rowing and voluntary tours. School fee settlement takes precedence over hostel fee settlement for this reason. Voluntary capital funding donations. Parents are asked, if at all possible, to make a voluntary capital funding donation for school by paying in an extra 3,000 Rand or whatever amount suits towards the campus development fund. The school's budget is constrained and the extra funding of development costs greatly assists with capital projects that would otherwise not be possible and enhances the standards and facilities of the school. In 2021, we project to receive an extra 285,000 Rand through these voluntary contributions. We sincerely hope and trust that where possible, parents continue to make this extra commitment towards this very valuable source of additional revenue. Where requested, the school will issue a Section 18A tax certificate in respect of these donations, effectively making them tax deductible in your hands. Commitment towards these voluntary contributions are agreed to in advance and correspondence will be sent to you. If you commit to amount, it may then be spread over 10 months and will appear on your monthly fee statement. Of course, you're always welcome to pay the full amount upfront, but unfortunately, no discounts will apply. Tours. Tours do not typically form part of the school program and need to be paid for separately. They are anticipated to be self-funding and need to be paid before departure. Relevant communication will be sent out should your son be involved. A point on fundraising. With the My School card, a percentage of your spend at various retailers, the most important of which are Woolworths, NJ and Quickshop and Builders Warehouse, are donated to the school. If you or your family members are Woolies shoppers specifically, please ensure that they become My School card holders so that the school's benefit is maximized. There is no additional cost to the shopper, and this can be of substantial benefit to the school. With nearly 120,000 Rand being raised in 2020, please email Mrs. Ogilvy on marketing@rondabosch.com to ensure that you and your extended family are joined up. You may also obtain your My School card via the free app, applying online or visiting a Woolworths store. Finally, regarding purchase of uniform items for your sons, the uniform shop will close on the 7th of December and will reopen on Friday, the 14th of January 2022, 5 days before Term 1 starts on Wednesday, the 19th of January. Due to current regulations, all visits to the Bosch shop are by prior arrangement only, and COVID-19 protocols will apply. In order to avoid disappointment, I urge you not to leave your uniform shopping until the last minute, as it will get very busy in those few days leading up to the new term. All Bosch shop information is detailed in the Grade 8 info pack. If you have any further questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Brenner. Just one question for you, Mr. Brenner here. With regard to the 5% discount, does that apply only to school fees or hostel fee settlement as well?
That only applies to the school fees.
All right. And then is the 5% early discount, is that for settlement, full settlement at the end of February?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Just taking the last few questions here, we seem to have dodged the load shedding guillotine, but on that, when are borders coming in? Borders must come to school before school actually starts. That would be the Monday before school starts. So school is scheduled to start on the Wednesday. The Monday before school starts, that afternoon, borders can start coming in. More information will be emailed through to you from the hostel shortly. The last thing that I wanted, because I've seen a couple of questions here from parents, and then we're going to bid you good evening, is regarding the house system, the house tutor system. We are currently revising the way in which we structure our overall pastoral care system and mentorship system inside the school. We are going to align that with houses. So it's called a vertical system. So group boys from grade 12 through to grade 8 in a small group once a day. We will discuss that a little bit later. We'll send out more information. We are still in the final planning phase of that, so we cannot give you more information right now, but that information we will give you before your son starts school, along with all the other last minute things that we need to discuss. And on that note, the school uniform is only available at the school shop. However, certain items like the school shirt you can buy at any shop. And yes, you can assume a zero hazing policy for grade 8s. That is something that is certainly in the past. Does the school have a generator? Yes, we do have a generator, and hopefully that will be up and running soon, along with our solar power units that we have. And on that note, I want to thank you for joining us tonight live. I will still answer some of your questions online as you post them. Any further questions, please email us and we will try and answer those as best we can. Thank you for joining us and good evening.